USAID, when I think about how that money was actually being used to then campaign against us internally. Remember the old rules, and we've talked about this maybe about a year ago. I was talking to you about this, how they had all these laws and rules in place that you could spend money on influence campaigns overseas, but that money could never be turned around and used as an influence campaign against us, your own people here in the US of A. But Barack Obama changed all that. And he made the decision that sure, you could spend a little money overseas and you could spend a little money back here at home, you see, because they wanted to corrupt a nation for their own benefit. And that is what they did. Trust me, no one wanted a political subscription to the tune of $10,000, but everyone in D.C. would get one. The government bought them. $10,000 Politico subscriptions. And guess what? When they needed to plant a story about how Hunter Biden's laptop was nothing but Russian misinformation, disinformation, fed to you courtesy of Hunter, oh, forgive me, fed to you by Rudy Giuliani. What did they do? They took it to Politico, the organization that effectively was on the payroll. I mean, woo! I mean, so much for journalism, right? Reuters, Bloomberg, all of these companies. I mean, they had big contracts, you see, with USAID. So you wonder why the likes of Ilhan Omar and her cronies, or coonies, as she likes to call them, that's what she calls Trumps, were really upset when USAID went up in smoke because we're slashing. And we're getting rid of fraud. We're getting rid of USAID. We're getting rid of a whole lot of fraudsters right here in the USA as well.
I am exceptionally upset about USAID. I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that USAID provided that kept my family and I fed and safe.
Okay, the networks are down, the equipment is ready, and we've crippled their supplies. Mrs. Rackman has written our check and given us the green light. We're good to finally move on that submarine and stop this threat once and for all. When you're ready, get your crew together and head back to planning.
That does not create love.
No, you know what creates love? The gay opera in Colombia. Or the transgender comic book in Peru. They're all on the take. Including, by the way, her ex-husband, a.k.a. alleged panels in South Africa in his venture capital firm that isn't. Oh, but apparently it was worth $25 million. Yeah, the ex-husband, alleged brother, living in South Africa, the high life. And what is he focused on? He's apparently some kind of academic focused on transgender and queer studies. Because you know he needs a little of that USAID money. Hey, keep it coming. Plus, why not some solar panels? This is one big, giant scheme. And they don't care. They don't care about turning Americans against each other. They want to do that, all while taking everything they can every step of the way. Take a look at the daughter. Ilhan Omar's 23-year-old daughter getting radicalized. Not by mom, but something called Code Pink. I think mom might have had a hand in it. But Code Pink is finishing her off, taking her down to Cuba so she can live it up with Hassan Piker and a few others. Again, bad news guy. So bad news. We're on early today with the live show, and I didn't have time to, I don't like to bombard you with all those obscenities. We try and keep it clean here for the kids. And I didn't have time to take out all his F-bombs and other bombs. But let's just say he's a bad dude, and he actually said something, and this is why I wanted to show it to you yesterday, about comparing Asian Americans to dogs. And it was actually just disgusting. It needs to come with a warning label. I don't even think I can do it in a live show, but suffice it to say the guy is bad news. And this is who the Democrats are looking to, right, as their savior. And they got him down there with Code Pink, and they've got this young woman, Percy is her name. Isra?
Hey, partner.
Percy, 23 years old.
Just sent you the stash spot.
Poor thing. Going down to Cuba. Of course, she's living in style. She's at a 5-star hotel. Fox did an interesting report on this 5-star hotel while the rest of the island is without power. They're there for campaigns like China is not our enemy or hands off Iran. They actually organized protests in favor of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. I know a lot about Venezuela. I've been covering that thing forever. I mean, that was my first job, actually, at Goldman Sachs. I was on the emerging debt markets desk in the fixed income division. And what were we trading? Venezuelan debt, along with Argentine, Brazilian, and Mexico's debt. There was some China in there, too, but I specialized in Latin America. And I will tell you, ever since the Chavismas came into power, it has been disaster from day one. And Maduro is known as a pretty bad dude. His wife really liked the money, though, that she was getting from the likes of China, Russia, and Iran, which is why they clung on as long as they did. Mistakenly so, because we ended that pretty fast now, didn't we? Chelsea has apparently a little bit more sense. But you see, they're funded. These groups, these NGOs, like the one that Ilhan's daughter is part of, Ms. Hirsi, from the first husband, whom she never actually legally married. That would be the second husband that she legally married to Hirsi while she was with the second guy and had another kid. I don't know if it was this girl. I mean, it's really complicated, especially for allegedly a religious Muslim woman, right? It's kind of like, gee, like the nieces, Soleimani's nieces, who come here and have a grand old time with their skimpy little dresses and living the life of rally, all while women back in Iran have to cover up, aren't allowed to be educated, aren't allowed any of the same freedoms. You understand, once again, a double standard. Anyway, this young woman is part of the Code Pink effort. Speaking after her Cuba trip, Ms. Hirsi said the experience of living through numerous blackouts on the socialist island, quote, truly changed me. Oh, you had a revelation, huh? The group sent, as I said, all kinds of people down there, including Democrat representative from Minneapolis, under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of heat right now because she's the one that introduced the $250 million Feeding Our Future program. That program that didn't feed anyone other than the fraudsters, and they're famous, right? Simultaneously, her husband's business went from being worth nothing, like $42 in the bank account, suddenly being worth $30 million overall. I have a feeling I know exactly who it was feeding. Jodie Evans is the woman who's running the whole thing, a radical Hollywood filmmaker, 71 years old, the wife of millionaire Maoist Neville Singman. I told you about him. He's the guy the New York Times said is dangerous, bad news, massive influence campaign. In other words, we don't always fight wars with tanks and missiles. Sometimes these wars are fought with words, with influence that you may not even understand is creeping into your country via your schools and via your kids' social media accounts. And then they put up kids like this. I guess she's somehow supposedly seen as cool. Quote, as Americans, bringing aid to Cuba is the least we can do, as the U.S. has long bullied Cuba with its sanctions, and now this oil blockade is killing people, said the Barnard graduate on Instagram. By the way, as a Columbia graduate, I can tell you, no offense against these Barnard girls, but it's the same school, it just means you couldn't get into Columbia. Alright, I'm being petty now, I know, I'm being petty, but I have no use for Ilhan Omar and her communist daughter hanging out in Cuba and getting paid. If only the 5-star hotel that's being paid for by the likes of China. Whose side are you people on? It's not us. It's not ours. And we don't need people who are not on our side at a moment of crisis like this. We gotta root them out. We gotta deport anybody who committed immigration fraud. It's believed that Ilhan Omar's father, this girl's grandfather, may not have been what he said he was. If that's